What is up, Outdoors Tribe? It's Tyler here alongside with Eric. This is the Outdoorsman's Oath podcast, and we're kicking off season 2 with a bang, or should I say with a chill. We're stoked to have Isaac Goetzinger, the sales director at Grizzly Coolers, in the house today. If you've ever been out in the field, on the water, or deep in the backcountry, you know how crucial it is to keep your game fresh, your drinks cold, and your gear tough. Grizzly coolers are built to do just that. They're not just coolers, they're built for the wild. They are rugged and ready for whatever you throw at them. Today we're diving into what makes the products this company produces so great, why these coolers are built to last, and why you need them in your arsenal. So buckle up, because this episode is packed with a lot of gear talk and one hell of a chill vibe. So let's get into it. Thanks for coming on, Isaac. It's a pleasure to have you.
Hey, you bet, guys. Thanks for having me.
So I guess to kind of start things out, what kind of inspired the creation of Grizzly Coolers? And how has the company evolved since it started?
Yeah, so I've been there about 12 years. It was 12 years back in April. So it started with a family in Northeast Iowa. They're big into outdoors. The old man started rotomolding coolers basically in a garage, and he made a round barrel cooler that would hold a keg, and it had casters on it. And again, funny story, he just started selling it to rental shops and stuff all over the country, and people were using it for weddings and graduations and all kinds of things. And all of a sudden, Anheuser-Busch got a hold of it, and sales started to take off, and he started doing more sizes, and it just kind of escalated real quickly. And then the Olympics in the early 90s were in Atlanta. So he got the bid for all the coolers there. And it just exploded after that. So from the start, the family was real deep into beverage sales. Obviously coolers are a good fit there, in stadiums and every beer, soda, whatever beverage company in the U.S. was using their stuff. So he had 3 boys, and they actually, it just pure accident, they went on a hunt out in Colorado, and they needed a cooler to transport their meat home. So they took one of their big keg transporters out there, and this was in the late 90s, 98, I believe. And the guides out there and the outfitter that they were at just went absolutely crazy over this thing. They're like, you can't believe that you can get a couple elk in this big cooler, and then just take it home. So nobody had ever seen anything like it. So they took some of the feedback that they got on that trip, came back, and that's kind of where Grizzlies was born. They retooled that design, and that ended up being the Grizzly 400. Where that started. And it was actually, at the time, they called it the Grizzly. So that's where the brand started. Since then, they started adding more sizes and then colors. And then, I come in 2012 and start selling it. They have, they're still heavily invested in the beverage world as well at that point. So Grizzly's just kind of evolved since then. We've added a lot more sizes, a lot more colors. We've changed up the molds a little bit. We've added the stainless steel drinkware to the mix, and then now we've got soft side coolers, storage, totes, you name it. We rotomold a big hunting blind as well. So the product expansion has been crazy in the last 3-4 years. So long story, kind of compressed there, but it all began on a Colorado elk hunt. It's where our roots run deep in the hunting world for sure.
Yeah, I could definitely get that from the website and everything, especially like you said with the deer blinds, which I definitely want to get to here in a little bit. I'm pretty excited to ask some questions about that, especially hunting in Minnesota. Yeah. Those stands look perfect.
Yeah, it's the season, man. We're getting a cold front tomorrow. With wind switching to the north, so it's time.
So I guess our next question is, what are some key features that set y'all's coolers over at Grizzly apart from competitors in terms of durability and performance?
So, overall, all the high-end coolers out there are going to work fairly well. We've tested all of them, And if it's a good sealing cooler, they're gonna hold ice. The big thing with us when it comes down to features, like you say, some of our components, the drain plugs, we use a big 2-inch insulated drain plug with dual gaskets on it, so it doesn't sweat, doesn't leak. And then when you want to drain the thing, being that it's twice the size of pretty much every other drain out there, it's going to drain a lot quicker for you. And anybody that's packed any amount of fish and meat and other stuff in those coolers, you end up getting a bunch of garbage in the bottom too that you want to get cleaned out of there as well. So that drain, 2-inch drain doesn't plug up on you either. So that was based on a lot of feedback in the field where we ended up with that one. And then as you go up in size with our coolers too, they have dual drains, so there's one on either side. People putting on commercial boats, they like the dual drains just so they can turn the cooler however they want, and they don't have to worry about where that drain plug is if it's on one side of the boat or the other. So that was a little bit of feedback from some of the guides that use our stuff there. They all have rulers embossed on the lid, which is handy as well. People really like that, whether you're shooting turkeys and you want to see how long your beard is, or obviously in the fishing market, that's a big deal. And then overall, just with the design of the coolers too, you notice we put a lot of different angles and stuff and bevels on the corners in comparison to a lot of the others out there. And the reason for that is sheer durability. Rotomolding is in general just builds on the corners. So it's a highly durable cooler. So the more corners that you, in a sense, put on the box, the stronger it's going to be. So that's why we do that, just from a durability standpoint. All the Grizzly coolers are certified with the Bear Agency in Yellowstone that tests all the Bear certified products, whether it's coolers or trash cans or storage bins or whatever it is. They all go through the same process out there. So we do that certification as well on all of our stuff.
So with that, the bear testing, is that what it sounds like? Like they just load meat up and let the bears go at it and see how good it does?
Yeah, exactly. They do.
That's
they
cool.
have to. We've tested every size that we have on the hard sides. Obviously, the lid has to be lockable. So if you go to a state park out there, a national park, the lid has to be able to have some kind of lock on it, like a padlock or a combination lock on the corners. That's one of the things that a game warden or one of the park rangers would look for. And then, they let a bear loose on them, and it has to last an hour. So if the bear can't get into it after an hour, you pass. So it's pretty straightforward.
That's crazy. Have you guys had any testimonials from hunters or anything that had bears come into camp and try to rip into them that you know of?
Yeah, we've had some video of bears like dragging a cooler across a meadow and stuff like that. Like it's pretty grainy footage because nobody's like up close and personal with this thing. But we've gotten some of that. Most of our testimonials are just people that are successful in the field, and they're telling us about how much meat they put in it, or how long their drive was back home, and they had ice the whole time, and their meat stayed frozen. Stuff like that. We get a lot of that.
That new really big, what size is that biggest one? That I think it's pretty new, isn't it?
Yeah, the origin story there, I talked about that 400. So we just replaced that in the lineup this last year in January, and we dropped a 450 out there. So it's kind of the same footprint. We made it a little bit wider front to back. The nice thing about our bigger size coolers is with that one or the 400, if you have one of the old ones, they fit in between the wheel wells of a pickup bed. So people that are traveling out west or traveling in anywhere in general to hunt, you can get them in the back of a pickup and slide them to the back, and you can still use the rest of the space for other gear. And it's a little bit easier to transport then. It doesn't take up all the space. And then two, what I like to do is put my hunting gear in the cooler on the way out there because it's nice, it's lockable. It's not going to get dusty if you're going down gravel roads and stuff like that. And then when you hopefully shoot something, then you can load it up and go home. So they make good storage boxes as well.
So how many, I guess, 12-ounce cans can you fit in that cooler? It's got to be a ton.
Yeah, it's like right around 700 in that 450. It's
Jeez.
crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot. That might last a weekend.
Yeah, that's a weekend's worth, right?
Yeah. For me, it'd be more than a weekend. So how much does that weigh? Do you guys like try to have a lightweight durable cooler, or do you have some
Yeah,
that are lighter than others?
yeah. There's with ours where we get our foam, it's it seems to be a little bit lighter than some of the competition out there, but that 450 comes in just right at 100 pounds. So it's when it's empty, it's really not too bad for two people to grab on either end and load it in a truck or put it on a trailer. You just want to, if you when you fill it up, you want it to be where you're gonna have it because it's a pain to move when it's really full. I mean, we put forklift pockets on that thing for a reason, so
I was gonna
they can
say
get
you almost
heavy.
need a forklift.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I know you mentioned the bear testing. Is there any other testing your coolers go through before they hit the market, or as far as like how long it keeps things cold or anything like that?
We do a little bit of that internally, and then most of our in the field testing, we rely pretty heavily on pro staff and some of the guides and outfitters that we've come to know over the years. Like we'll test some things in the field because I mean we're the company's in Northeast Iowa, so it's hard to replicate every different kind of condition there. We get some warmer summers and obviously we get the cold winters, but it's not the heat like you get in Texas or the humidity in Florida and stuff like that. So we've always relied pretty heavily on in the field testing and usage. So we keep that going and we take that very seriously when we're dropping new things, whether it's an accessory on the blind or a whole new cooler size. That we rely pretty heavily on people that are gonna tell us whether it's good, bad, or what they like, what they don't like. All that stuff we take pretty seriously.
So like for instance, we have started traveling a lot. Like he just flew to Maine for a bear hunt. We went down to New Mexico last year. What model would you say would be best for the hunter that wants a lightweight cooler but wants to also be able to bring back a good amount of meat to be able to fly with?
Well, if you're flying,
Yeah.
most people that have flown with them lately, like that 75 or the 60, just based on how much, like what animal you're after, what kind of capacity you're going to need. Generally for most of my hunts, I end up driving. I really like that 100. So I'd rather have more capacity, and if I have to fill it up, I'll just put more ice on it to fill up the space, because you always want to fill up the space as much as possible, right? To alleviate the air in there. You don't want that much air space in a cooler when you're packing it for travel. So that's what I look at, and so you really just got to gauge on what the animal is. But like I say, that 60, 75 seems to be a good sweet spot for that. And if you're driving, that 100 is pretty hard to beat for packing meat. The 165 is there too. That one's a little bit longer. Will take up more space, but if you're shooting multiple animals, that's a really good one too. It'll still fit under most tonneau covers as well. So that one's pretty handy.
How are your soft-sided coolers for stuff like that? Because I know some companies have like ones that meet carry-on standards. Even when we came back from Maine, granted, we had just a box that they put some ice packs in because we brought a bunch of seafood home.
Yep.
Do your, I guess, soft-side coolers work pretty well for something like that?
Yeah, they will. The Drifter, all the soft sides are under the Drifter series name, so it's whatever size it is. So like our Drifter 12 and our Drifter 20 would be our 12 and 20. Those two sides really well for travel like that. And actually, our new Drifter backpack 4-quart that hit this past summer. And we had a few people take that thing to Alaska already and fly fish home in that. And they were, one of them had it as a carry-on. The other one had it, checked it actually. And he said it was, he said they couldn't beat it up. So it passed the TSA test. So that was good.
How do they do as far as keeping ice compared to your hard-sided coolers?
So in comparison, the drifters are meant more for like the day use, right? So
Yeah.
if they're not going to get the multiple days. I mean, you will on occasion, if you're not in and out of it a lot, you will have some ice carry over into the next day, potentially, depending on how you're using it or what's in it. But generally, those soft sides are meant for day use. If you're camping, you're probably going to have a larger hard side cooler, probably with all your drinks and ice and food in it, probably. And then if you're leaving to go out on a boat or something, you would fill the drifter out of that hard side cooler and use that for the afternoon, and then come back and dump your ice back into the hard side cooler or whatever's left. So that's kind of the goal with those, to keep them pretty lightweight. And
folks, there was a little bit of a technical difficulty, so if there's a little blip in there, Isaac said he has some weather rolling through and lost some power, so we're going to pick back up where we were.
Yeah,
So,
sorry about that.
So, do you guys collaborate with a lot of outdoor brands, or do you kind of just stay on your own? I know you mentioned that you have some people that kind of test out your coolers and get the word out there, but I guess how else do you do that?
Yeah, we do. We have a few different partners in a lot of different avenues too. So a couple outfitters in the South that we send some things to for testing, but just manufacturers in the outdoor space. We do a lot with like Big Tine Seed, as far as like food plot structure goes, and a lot of that revolves around the blinds too, as far as setup and creating the best possible hunting situation you can. And that kind of led into our water trough and feed trough that we launched this year as well. So, things like that, like product development, we do a lot with them. We worked with the supplement company Mountain Ops quite a bit. Some of their pro staff and people that are out west, because they're in Utah, so they're in a whole different climate and chasing different animals than we are. So that's been a big help as well. And then we've done things with Hoyt, we've done things with Matthews, a bunch of different archery companies. There's a bunch of them. I mean, we try not to do anything exclusive. We work with a lot of different folks and get as much perspective as we can.
Guys, I want to say, when I first heard about the company, I think I was watching is either Sportsman Channel or Outdoorsman Channel, or the Outdoors Channel, and saw a commercial, or the hunting show I watched said something about Grizzly Coolers, and I was like, and then I looked you up, and that's a pretty cool company.
Yeah, we work with a few TV shows, Driven, Pat Nicole on Outdoor Channel, Greg Ritz, Hunt Masters, Lee and Tiffany. There's a bunch of them. So we try to spread out and get as much feedback and different perspectives as we can.
Yeah, I know. I used to work with a guy that is really big into mountain biking, and I don't know if you guys send him one or if he just buys one, but he gives away one of your coolers every year. And he was actually the first person I ever heard it from, because he swore by Grizzly Coolers is by far the best. And yeah. I don't know. But he's in the biking and camping, I guess, community more so than hunting.
Sure. The whole hunting aside, but like the fitness in general, kind of craze that's going on right now. It's gained a lot of traction in hunting, but CrossFit or any of the other organizations that do that, but the cold plunge stuff that's getting so popular, that's been really popular over the last year, really turned the tables on our bigger cooler. that 400, and part of the reason why the 450 looks as it does with the shorter walls, people are using those as ice baths. So we wanted to make sure that somebody could sit in the thing and use it for pre or post workout as well, because that's a major major thing right now within the market. So that's been a big deal for us.
I did see you got some college ones too. I'm hoping you're a Gopher fan, but maybe not.
Yep. Good or bad, it's Minnesota sports, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, their hockey team's not too bad all the time, but
yeah,
the rest of it's not very good.
I don't know when this airs, but the Vikings are playing right now.
I think last I walked in, the Vikes were up.
Yeah. Yeah, they got a 7-0 lead right away in the first possession. So, and then I walked down here. So, we'll see how that ends.
Yeah.
Hopefully not like that Detroit game last week.
See, I'm a Detroit fan, so I was pretty happy.
Yeah, you bet.
So I guess leading into the next thing, what challenges have you faced in the cooler market, especially with the rise of new outdoor brands? How have you guys adapted to? Because it kind of seems like a lot of people are making different coolers now, and they're popping up all over the place.
Yeah, I mean it is. For a while there, it got really flooded, and it seems like it's maybe going the other way a little bit right now. We are kind of unique in that space because we manufacture everything in our own facility. So the coolers and anything that we rotomold plastic wise is made right in our facility in Iowa. So made in the USA gives us a little bit more control on it. We have a lot of colors because we are making them there. So that's helped us a ton. But the made in USA lifetime warranty on the stuff, I mean, that's always been a driving force for us. And that's been just one of those things that keeps customers loyal. We just try to stay in our lane, to be honest. I mean, we don't chase a whole lot of fads, I guess, if you want to call it that. We know what our designs are like, and we change up our colors from time to time. But I mean, we try to be, living in that hunt focused first, for the most part. But, that space, for sure is our number one, driver. And we want to make sure that we're putting out products that give people a better experience, in the outdoors, and try to, anytime we come up with something different in a different category other than coolers or drinkware, we kind of do that litmus test, like, would we use it or not? Everybody within our plant, shipping department, production, R&D, ownership, all the way down, there's hunters across the whole umbrella there. So, you can always tell when it's either a warm spell in October because everybody's in the office, or there's a cold front. There's a lot of out of offices coming across the email. So, that's just part of the culture. So, we just try to stay focused with that and keep doing what we do best.
That's awesome. I know you mentioned the warranty, lifetime warranty. So does that cover like just wear and tear, like if you drop it or accidentally run it over with a truck or falls out of the bed, or is it more?
It's more like manufacturer defects. Like,
Okay.
if you run it over, I mean, that, or like act of God type stuff. But I mean, they're super durable. We actually have people run them over and they're still fine. We've had them blow off of trucks, and we've had a couple of them go through vehicle fires too. Now, obviously, they do melt at that high of heat, but the latches were still on it. I don't know how. We've got some pictures from stuff that's just crazy. So I mean, they are very, very durable from that standpoint, for sure.
So I guess one of the things that I want to know the most about, obviously, being a Minnesota hunter and all my life, is the deer stand. Do you use one currently?
Yeah. Yep. I've got I've got 3 here on the home farm that I use pretty regularly, set up for different winds and different food plots and stuff like that. But they are pretty bulletproof, man. I mean, if you haven't seen one yet, or the listeners, if you get a chance to go in one at a trade show or something, definitely check them out. They are a 6x6 blind, and they're all one piece. So they're roto-molded just like the coolers are. So there's no seams in it. They come out of the oven, and it's just one complete shell. And then we cut out the door space, we cut out the windows, and then start the install from there and get all the extras in them. But they are, so as a standard, they come with 3 horizontal windows and then 5 vertical windows. And there's a big vertical window in the door as well. So the nice thing about that is all the windows are the same size. So we have 2 different shade options for those windows, a see-through mesh or a blackout. So being that they're all the same size, you can intermix and change out those shades however you want to hunt or what the spot requires, where you're going to have the thing. So they're really easy to customize your personal hunting style. We have a nice thick padded floor on there that takes a lot of abuse. It doesn't soak up any moisture, and is super quiet. And then underneath that, the base, we have a PVC board in there, so there's no wood that's going to ever rot. They're built to take the abuse season after season, and even the outfitters that are using them, clients leave windows open all the time or forget to shut the door, and then of course it's going to rain. So having no wood in that thing just helps the durability, and you're not going to come back to a rotted and weak floor. And then we have an 8-foot tower for it. Last year, we just launched this new accessory too. I got to mention that. It's called the Power Vent. So what I mentioned wind, this thing is basically an internal fan that draws the air within the blind and pushes it out one of our vents. So it runs off of any small battery pack that you'd probably have for your cell phone, that pretty much everybody carries with them anyway hunting. But it's USB-C compatible. Plug it in, and I have just a tiny little Goal 030 battery pack, and I've ran a power vent for 9 straight hours, and there was still power left in that thing. So the power draw is very, very small, but essentially it will help exchange the air in the blind. So one, it cuts down on condensation, cuts down on any fogging of windows, especially if you're running a heater in the blind too for those late season sits. The other thing that it does is it completely directs where your wind is going to leave the blind, right? So if you're hunting it on a marginal wind for a spot where maybe late season, you're sitting there and you're overstanding beans and you're waiting for that perfect shot, well, you can put whatever you use for scent control. If you believe in scent killer sprays, nose jammer type products, cover scents, or ozone, you could put that product inside that power vent, and it's going to, in a sense, treat your air as it's leaving the blind. So it helps cover you up and keeps you in the field longer. So we just launched that product last year, and it's been doing awesome. We've had crazy hunts coming back to us as far as some of our pro staff, and just recaps of hunts where they've used it and had deer straight downwind and not get them, and they were able to sit there with the windows open and make the shot. So we're super pumped to have that on the market. That's pretty unique for that blind.
So does the fan come with it, or is that just a separate purchase? And then
that's an accessory.
Okay, and does it mount like in a window?
It mounts, so there's a 4-inch hole that's a vent already, that's got a vent cover right by the door. So essentially, if you have a blind, or if you want to add it right away, whatever you're doing, you just take that cap off that's already there and install the power vent in that space that's already cut in the blind. And there's a big gasket that seals everything off, and then a hood that's on the outside, so there's no animals are going to get there, or bugs or anything are going to get through that. But yeah, it's one of those accessories that a lot of people are adding to their blinds right now.
So another thing, I guess, with it is, does the whole blind, I mean, you talked about the vent, but does the whole blind seal up kind of like one of your coolers would, or is it kind of like the windows just barely shut and kind of hold the air out, or how tight does it seal up?
Yeah, so we use a really thick, heavy duty gasket on all the windows and doors. We actually went to the company that makes the gaskets for vehicles, and they do all the basically the door gaskets for a side by side company. So they're pretty good at gaskets as far as on those doors and keeping stuff out of RVs and other vehicles. So we wanted to use something like that, just on our windows, just to keep those tight. So there's a lot of surface area on that window. And then we have tabs basically that tension up the gasket and form that seal. So typically when I'm hunting, I'll go and pop all those tabs open and leave just one on there. So if I have to make a shot and I'm sitting there, and I can just open up one tab and then you're in the game. And then it makes it real easy, and they're super quiet.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I know I have I bought an Amish built enclosed stand for where I hunt in Minnesota, and the fogging problem with the heater going is terrible. Every morning I take my stocking cap off and I'm just constantly wiping all the windows just so I can see out of them. Or you have to sit there with them all open, which almost defeats the purpose of having a fully enclosed stand when it's especially those -5-degree days that you get in November in Minnesota. That fan sounds great.
Yeah, that accessory checked a lot of boxes, not just with our blind, but any enclosed blind. Like you say, they all kind of have that same issue if you run a heater, especially when it's negative temps out there. It's just going to happen. So having that air moving in there definitely helps. And then it's getting rid of some of that smell you get with the heater too. So you don't want to sit there and breathe that in either the whole time. So it kind of has a dual purpose that way.
And then with that, the vent fan, I know you said you could put whatever scent blocker and stuff you want in it. Is that something you have to keep spraying in, or is there like a canister you just pour it in that circulates somehow?
So we have kind of however you want to do it. So if you use scent wicks already, you could place those in there and spray those, and just kind of depending on how long you're going to sit, you might have to reapply, just like you're kind of supposed to on your clothes as well if you were to sit in a tree stand. People that use cover scents, a lot of times they're using those wicks as well. I've used quite a bit of ozone in mine personally. So any of the ozone machines that are on the market now will fit within that cavity of that power vent. So and that from that regard, you're actually getting a dual fan, because you have the fan that's in there already that the power vent runs off of, and then the fan that is the ozone machine as well. So you're getting almost double the draw, and then it's treating your air as it leaves.
Is the whole inside, or at least the floor, carpeted, or what is, I guess, the material on the inside of the stand?
So it comes standard with a rubber mat. So it's about a 1/2 inch thick, closed cell rubber mat. So it doesn't absorb any water. You can get in there, snow on your boots and stuff like that. And like I say, people just accidentally leave windows open too. So you can, in the off season, you can take that mat out and spray it off with the hose if you want to clean it, and it's not going to be all waterlogged and start falling apart on you. So that comes standard in that blind. So it, especially too, if you're hunting with kids, I've got a 10 and an 8-year-old, and when they come with me, they get having snacks or whatever, and it seems like kids are always dropping stuff, and so it just makes it easier to stay out there longer, and they're not spooking all your deer away when when you have a blind full of kids or whoever you're with.
I guess the last question I have on it, you mentioned a base. I guess on your website I didn't see a base. Does that come with it? And then also, what is that made out of?
So the blind itself has a frame on the bottom. It's just a steel, powder coated steel frame. And then we have, for elevation, we have people that want to mount them to trailers. Maybe they already have a tower. Maybe they want to build their own flat tower, or they have another blind that they want to put it on. So we have 4 plates in the corners where it's basically a mounting spot. So it's a squared off plate with 4 holes CNC'd in it, where you could use to mount it to something that's already existing in your spot. If you want to elevate ours, we have 2 options right now. We have an 8-foot steel tower that you can assemble and get as an accessory, or the other accessory would be the 4x4 pockets. If you want to build your own with 4x4s and 2x4s and cross brace them and elevate it however you want, we have that pocket if you want to just do it that way. So a couple different options there. The trailer thing is gaining popularity pretty heavily in our area now. People can be more mobile with them and move them around the field as the crops change or the crops come out. They can scoot in there real quick with a blind and be set up. So really, there's a lot of different options for it.
That's pretty sweet. So I guess I don't have any more questions about the blind. Does the company have any like innovations or anything coming out that maybe you can give insight on to look forward to in the next couple of years, or is that top secret stuff yet?
Most of that's top secret, the stuff that's not out yet. I will say, we've got a couple different sizes of coolers coming, so that we're going to keep adding to the hard side lineup, 2025 and 26. We've got some big plans there to fill some size gaps and some different options. Drinkware, we're always looking at new items there. We didn't talk a lot about drinkware, but we have a bottle lineup that all of our stuff has a like a rubber touch soft feel to it, and that's pretty crazy popular right now. But we've got a 20-ounce bottle, a 30-ounce bottle, a 40-ounce bottle, and then 2 really big jugs, a 64 and a 128. That 128 is really nice for like food plot season when you're out, whether you're planning on a tractor, if you're, trimming stands or whatever you're doing in the off season to prep. That's a great water jug when it's the hot days of summer. But, the bottles have been going over really well. We just revamped that line last year. And then on the cup side of things, we've got a 20-ounce cup that everybody loves for coffee in the morning, that kind of thing. It's got a magnetic twist lid on it, that easy open close and super easy to clean because it comes apart with a magnet. We've got some new sizes in the cups coming for next year. So, just stay tuned on that. Keep an eye out on our socials and our website because we drop that stuff on there and you'll see it first there. And then, we talked about the drifters. So there's a lot in the storage side of things too on the soft sides other than coolers. We have 2 sizes of gear bags out. We call the gear bag 20 and the 40. They're basically just a storage tote, but they're very durable. You can easy to clean. You can spray them off with a pressure washer. They're just easy thing to throw in the truck and beat up. I keep all my cameras in the smaller one, and SD cards and extra batteries when I'm doing camera checks. Pretty slick to throw in the side-by-side. The 40 I use for tree stand prep, so I can keep saws in there, extra pegs or sticks, ratchet straps, all that kind of stuff that you can haul out and be at the tree and get that work done through the summer. So storage is a big part that we're getting more and more into, because that plays a part of kind of the off season and during season with all your hunting gear that you just need a spot to put it, right? So anything that we can make the experience a little bit better, we're going down that hole.
Yeah, I'll have to check out your cups. I think I remember seeing one that has like a handprint in it. Is that you guys?
Yeah. All of our cups have, we call them the Grizzly Grip, but there's grips in it, and people really like that. They always gravitate to that, especially you go into like a Sportsman's Warehouse or something, and you see that on the shelf, and after people use it, they always come back and say they really like that feature. So that's something unique to us.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one in person. Maybe I'll have to order one and give it a try.
Yeah, that 20 ounce is by far our most popular one for sure.
Awesome. Well,
I guess I have one last question. What do you have going on as far as hunting this year? Or do you have any trips planned, or just sticking around Minnesota, or what do you guys kind of got going on?
Yeah, for right now I'll be in Minnesota. I've got a Wyoming whitetail hunt. It's going to be a rifle hunt that I'm doing with a couple guys from Hornady. So that's going to be, let's see, I leave on the 8th of November for that. So I'll be out there for a week. Hopefully, I'm filling up a cooler and driving home with some meat from that trip. Pretty excited. I'm usually an archery guy, so this rifle thing will be a new experience for me. So get to learn a thing or two from the Hornady guys on that one. And then that'll get me to mid-November. I'm hoping to come back to Minnesota and catch a little bit part of the rut in between the gun seasons there. And then probably the week leading up to Thanksgiving, I'm going to try to be in Kansas. I got drawn for Kansas this year, so that's going to be a public land archery hunt. And that's just going to be flying by the seat of my pants and just wherever I end up. I'll grab a hotel room somewhere and just keep bouncing around public land and see what I can find. I'll be running down there for probably 5 to 6 days. I'm thinking just leading up to Thanksgiving, and hopefully I hit some weather right and find something cool. I did it a little bit last year. I don't know if you guys have been to Kansas yet, but there's a lot of public land down there. Some of it looks really good. Some of it gets hit pretty hard with people. And if you can find those little nuggets that don't get touched, there's some good deer out there. So that'll be fun. But yeah, Minnesota. I got a 10-year-old too that gets to go this year. So the goal for the later gun season is going to be to get him his first deer. So that's kind of top priority. As soon as I can get back from these trips, it'll automatically go to him and try to get him a deer. So that's the plan anyway. Hopefully I'm done before the weather gets too cold.
Yeah. Good luck.
You guys get to travel anymore? Or are you just coming up to Minnesota? Or I know you're in.
I just got the Minnesota hunt the rest of this year. I got a muzzleloader tag out here. I still got my archery tag to fill. That's really about it for the rest of this year for me. I didn't draw anything in other states this year. I had that bear hunt in Maine that we just got back from. And unfortunately, I didn't fill my tag, but my wife got one. So it was our 10th anniversary, I guess,
Nice.
present trip.
Yeah, as far as me, just hanging around here, I drew a Black Hills rifle tag. So try to fill that as quick as possible. 'Cause the week after that season opens, I'm heading up to your guys' neck of the woods. And
Yeah. I love
Minnesota.
the Black Hills. I turkey hunted there. I haven't deer hunted there or anything yet, but man, this is awesome. Like I would go back there in a heartbeat for turkeys. That was so much fun.
Well, if you need a place to turkey hunt, I got about 800 of them in my backyard that come up to my window every day. So
Yeah, we'll talk off air about that. I get pretty mad at turkeys.
Here's the fanciest hunting blind you'll see.
yeah, I always say I'm homeless, but I got a pretty nice hunting blind. Might even be a little nicer than yours. I got power and a bathroom.
Oh yeah, that's high class.
But I got to live in it year round, so.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, well, I don't think we have anything much else as far as questions goes. Wanted to say thanks for hopping on here, and it was awesome to hear about your company. It sounds like a great company, and hope to buy some stuff here soon and support you guys.
Yeah, like I say, thanks for having me. This has been great. Minus the power outage, that was a good one. But just keep, for you listeners, if you want to check out anything Grizzly, we do quite a bit of posts on social media. Our YouTube's getting better, Instagram, Facebook, and then our company website, just grizzlycoolers.com. We'll have everything there as far as new gear drops, everything through the holidays. So be sure to check us out there. Like I say, we'll be launching the new products on those platforms as well. So
awesome. I know we'll keep our eyes out for them.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Isaac, for, like I said, hopping on, and it was great chatting with you.
You bet, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. We'll do it again.
Yep.
Good luck the rest of this fall.
Yes, sir. You too. Thank you.
You bet.